I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video. There's another paid request, this time from Mr. Majestic. Thank you so much for that. Sorry I did not get to it by the end of the month. I apologize for that. But for those interested in requesting any type of videos or topics, reactions, reviews, I will get to it as soon as I can. It could be for pretty much anything. Feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for a little documentary that's on YouTube. It's about 26 minutes long, and it's called The Teen of Catalog. I had vaguely heard about this because Mike, OCP Communications, he had talked about this. It's directed by a guy named Travis Baker, and I'm assuming it's about his father, because the guy in this is named Jeff Baker. I just assume that because they both have last names, but that doesn't mean they're family. That's like saying Bruce Lee is related to the General Lee, and Jason Lee, and Jason Scott Lee. So, if it's not his dad, or okay, but who is Jeff Baker? I didn't know who that was, but this is a guy who is 37 years in home entertainment industry, and pretty much it details his history. And his history of working in the business also details the history of the home video market. And it was decent. It was decent. I mean, it's for free on YouTube. It's 26 minutes long. It's fairly well put together. I like the synthesizer music by Darius. Very nicely done synthesizer music. Decently edited. I like that all the different commercials they put among the interviewing this guy Jeff Baker. They put in old commercials of the home video recorder, Sony, the Betamax. They put in old commercials of Blockbuster Video. They put in an old commercial Laserdisc with Leonard Nimoy. All these little avenues of the past put in there. Went at a decent pace. It wasn't boring or anything. Was not boring at all. He details this guy get into the home video recorder market, and Sony had Betamax, and then apparently the Japanese companies then introduced VHS. He talks about his first job, which is dealing with films on VHS, and working with people like Sears, Sam Goody, and did films like Saturday Night Fever. And this at a time when VHS tapes would go $45 to $80. Yeah, back then that was the case. Well, I just technically now some VHS is $45 to $80 or more. And there's some interesting pieces of info he talks about, like a format that did not work out, the video disc. Now the video disc, I believe Mike OCP has one or two of these. He showed it in the video long ago. but they look like a record. Like, okay, imagine the outside, you do an album for your record. Now imagine the outside, it's square, but imagine there's a flap on the top. You put in your player, and then it'll just click on the thing, and then you pull the case out, and then it's supposed to be in there. But it didn't work out. Apparently, one reason is when they released this video disc thing, it's different from Laserdisc. It only had like 25 titles. So if people don't spend this much money and they go, well, it's 25 titles and half of these maybe I don't care about, and if you only like 4 movies or maybe 5 movies, you don't spend this big chunk of change for this format when there's only people don't wait to see if it catches on, and oh wow, if it has a 200, okay, pick and choose, makes sense. But if it's only 25 at launch, not a good deal. So even he talks about how that didn't last long. I did like the fact he brought up the Good Times, the VHS logo. I mean the company. I always remember the Good Times. They dealt a lot with public domain flicks, and there was a lot of stuff I saw in Good Times. And also variations of it. Like there's literally one called Bootleg, where it was a boot on the side of the VHS. I think that's how I first saw my first Godzilla film, Godzilla vs. Megalon. It was Godzilla on the front. It was like red, and then like Godzilla vs. Megalon on top, and on the back it was like red and like gray, and on the spine on top is a little boot for Bootleg. Because that was Godzilla vs. Megalon, I think for a while was public domain, as well as a lot of other stuff. So it would show like the old Superman Fleischer cartoons, like the cover of that, this guy, that stuff. And he talks about how apparently in the mid 80s he had brought up the idea they take these, because apparently studios were losing a bit of money and they needed another piece of revenue, to take these movies 5, 10, 15 years old, put them on VHS. Now you get more income for your studio, and then working some other stuff consumers can then buy for under $10. Now this is what he says. Now that's one issue I do have with this. I will say it's very one-sided because it's only this one person talking. It would be nice if there were other people talking, because this is the thing, it's mainly this one guy by himself, Jeff Baker, and he didn't make it. But if it is his son, if Travis Baker is his son, I do wonder if there's a bit of self-indulgency with this, as in it's not exactly appropriate to say that because it's not like Jeff Baker directed himself. Again, Travis Baker did, but just the fact that there's not any other people corroborating these stories, like, yep, that was him, and he did this, and he did that, because it would be nice to hear other people explain why they call him the King of Catalog. Because at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I still not 100% sure why he's called the King of Catalog. Like, okay, he was called that. Who called him that? Like, who are the people? And I'm sorry, I kicked the stand. I was going to get water, but I gave up halfway through, and then, well, I'll try it again. But enough of the tangent. That's, again, really one of my only issues. I wish there were other people, whether it be co-workers or friends, like other people just to corroborate what he says. I'm not saying he's a liar. It's just, yeah, it'd be nice to have other faces, other voices among the documentary instead of just the one guy. But with that said, he does talk about how apparently from 85 to 95, that was very big for the VHS market. Probably my favorite story is Good Times, when big Disney films like Aladdin was coming out and Pinocchio. Good Times would make these cheap cartoons that were also Aladdin, because Aladdin is before Disney. Like Aladdin, the stories. So they made a movie called Aladdin, and very different animation, but the color scheme would be similar on the covers. And Disney sued them, but Disney lost, and Good Times won. And that just made me smile because I'm so sick of fucking Disney nowadays. It's nice to hear that at one point they did lose. And that's why Good Times was able to keep making that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I would say that's my favorite piece of this documentary. And he talks about, around 1997, you had DVD. And then he got into, apparently he got a job with Warner Brothers and then worked with them on doing these ultimate collector's editions like The Exorcist and The Town, and worked with Clint Eastwood to do not only 35 years of Clint Eastwood and Warner Brothers, but to do a documentary. I mean, okay. I will be honest, there's a part of me that went, I don't care. Okay, cool, story bro, you did this stuff. That's cool. I mean, I know this sounds rude, but there's part of me is like, I don't care that you did this. Okay, cool. Cool that you did that, but I'm like, alright, I don't know, I just, but there was some interesting things he did bring up, to be fair. One thing with Blu-ray, well, a few things. No, one, he talked about how the studios, they got away from VHS too early. Because for a good amount of years, people were still wanting VHS, still watching VHS, still collecting VHS. And yeah, there's a collector's market now, but I'm just saying, when they went to DVD, there were still people yearning for VHS, and it's like, yeah, we should have done like DVD and VHS. Kind of like they do Blu-ray and DVD today. And then he mentions about how Blu-ray was a tougher sell because the consumer was not unhappy with DVD. And that is perfectly correct, because I remember I was adamant on being like, what the fuck is Blu-ray? I mean, I turned around, yes, eventually, but I'm like, well, what's wrong with DVD? And then, oh, well, these features are only on the Blu-ray, and it's not, the DVD's bare bones. It's like, you kind of, if you love films and you like anything behind the scenes or director's cuts or alternate cuts, or you gotta get the Blu-ray, it's like forcing people to go into the other format. And I thought, eventually I did, but it's like, I did definitely see and understand how it was a tougher sell initially. And also the sad truth, he mentions that back in 2007, the home video market was a $14 billion, and now he says it's a $4 billion. And that's why studios, you rarely see from the major studios. I'm not talking about Screen Factory, I'm not talking about Vinegar Syndrome, Arrow Video, I'm talking about the big studios, why you don't see director's cuts and alternate cuts, and here's 3 versions of the same film, but each one's different. No, they don't do that because studios don't feel there's much merit to make money by doing that. Because again, it's gone from 14 billion to 4 billion. And again, this is what he says. Like you say, it would be nice if there were other people to either, like I said, corroborate, or like maybe he worked with someone and the coworker could be there, they're bouncing back and forth, something of that nature. That would be nice. But I mean, again, my only issues was that, and at times it seemed a little bit self-indulgent. I mean, the very beginning is why I got into movies because I'm a big fan of Wizard of Oz. And at the very end, he talks about how there was a screening of Wizard of Oz and the remaining Munchkins, and they were there, and how it was a full circle. Okay, I did it, but at the same time, it's like, okay, because you have nobody else talking, because you have no other people to again talk about Travis Baker. Let's put it this way: what do you want people to talk about you, or do you want you to talk about yourself? Which seems more appealing? Which seems more important? Which seems more, I don't want to say legitimate, but there's a point when you're just talking about yourself the whole time. It's one thing in an interview for a DVD or Blu-ray, but I did for a guy that I didn't know much about, and he's saying all this stuff, and it's like there's no way for me to. I don't know. I'm not saying the guy's a liar, not in the slightest. All I'm saying is, two or three other people to throw on their own asides about the importance of this guy, Travis Baker. That would have been nice. That would have been, I think, made the whole thing a bit richer, a bit more fulfilling. But at the very end of the day, at the very least, it's a nice trip down memory lane through the home video format with a guy who was in the business. And like I say, it was nice to hear about the video disc that did not do well, and the story about Good Times being sued by Disney and Disney lost. It was losing me at the end. You know, okay, they did The Town, the special edition of that. I like The Town, but okay. Like, it made me go, are you trying to pat yourself on the back for doing stuff or not? Again, that's the danger with this kind of stuff can go into. Like I said, when you don't have other people, have the people pat your back for you, not you do yourself. Again, that's the danger of it when you do this kind of thing. But I said the synthesizer music, it's well edited, presented that way. It's interesting for people who are into the home video market. And like I said, it's only 26 minutes long, and it's for free on YouTube. So I really don't have much to complain about. It was interesting. It was nice to see, and it's worth a look. Just type in the Teen-Up catalog in the search bar on YouTube, and you'll find it. Again, the Teen-Up catalog. And yeah, didn't mind it. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.